But we want to take a closer look at what it would actually mean to deport every illegal immigrant, what it would mean economically for our country. Because the economy is the only issue that polls show voters are even more worried about. So let's dig into this. More than 7 million illegal immigrants are in the workforce. Businesses hire these immigrants for two reasons. They're cheap and nobody else wants to do the job, or at least do the job at that pay. And despite the belief that most illegal immigrants work in agriculture, only about 4% are farm workers, according to the Center for Migration Studies. But nearly 300,000 migrants are doing that backbreaking work that gets food onto your table, work most Americans would never dream of doing. So where do most illegal immigrants work? Well, the vast majority of them, 1 in 5, works in construction, the top industry. And kicking them out of the country could cripple the construction industry, according to economists. For one, the labor shortage would lead to fewer homes being built. And the ones that are built would cost more because builders would have to pay more to American construction workers if they can convince them to do that job. Remember, we're in a housing crisis already in this country, and it's not just housing, it's commercial real estate that would get more expensive. Then there's this. Illegal immigrants pay about $31 billion in state and federal taxes every year. And the Social Security Administration has estimated that the group of illegal immigrants in this country contributes $12 billion more per year to Social Security than it takes out. And we're not even getting into what it would actually cost to detain, transport, process, and eventually deport 11 million illegal immigrants in this country. The Department of Homeland Security estimates that bill would come to $265 billion, taxpayer dollars. With me now to talk about all this is Yahoo's senior columnist, Rick Newman, and Dan Stein, who is the president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Great to have both of you here. Rick, let's stick with construction for this deep dive. What happens to that industry if illegal immigrants are no longer working, building homes, apartment buildings, office buildings?
I'd like to broaden this out just a little bit, Elizabeth. So you're talking about illegal migrants. There are also a lot of migrants who have permission to enter the country, but they have to wait for this hearing, and they are often able to get a work permit. It's very hard to disentangle who's, these different gradations of legality when economists look at this. But when you look at migrants and immigrants as a whole, I mean, they have a very big and measurable impact on the economy. I mean, we have 8 million jobs open in the economy right now. And so employers still need workers, even with the elevated levels of migration we've had across the southwest border, including illegal and legal. So if you start to round up people who are in the workforce, I mean, it's the same as if you rounded up anybody who was in the workforce and you took them out of the country. We would lose workers. Companies would need more workers. Prices would probably go up because when you have fewer workers, you have to pay other people more to take their place. And then we would have fewer people in the economy spending money. This does not mean that any economists who are studying this, and there are a lot, none of them are endorsing illegal immigration. What they are saying is, look, it's a fundamental principle of capitalist economy. In order to have economic growth, you need population growth, especially given that we have a declining birth rate.
Yeah,
we'll
get to that.
We need new workers.
That's important. But Rick, before I get to Dan, many say, oh, well, so what? We deport the illegal immigrant working on the construction site. 21% of those workers at a construction site are illegal immigrants. That just means an American will do the job. It's not that simple.
No, it's not. I mean, let me go back to that data point. We already have 8 million open jobs. There are not enough workers for those jobs. So where are these people going to come from? I don't know if anybody remembers when I think it was Stephen Colbert went to Congress, and he tried to go and pick green beans for a day, and there are no Americans picking green beans because they don't want the work. I mean, yeah. So we don't have the workers to do a lot of this work. And businesses will tell you this. So, it wouldn't be economically disastrous if Trump did what he said, but it would definitely make an impact on the margins. And by the way, it would put prices up. So if you're somebody who's been upset about inflation lately, especially grocery inflation, well, Trump's policies will push those prices up just a little bit more. So which side do you want to play here?
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.